All right, Mr. Kumalo. Sibonge Baba
Yes.
for making yourself available. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for
like I
having me.
said, we were to discuss the issue of student leadership, and you came to mind. You are an easy choice because you've been there and you've done it well. Maybe just to make others aware, in terms of a bit of a background. You were the
Okay.
SRC president at Cedara. What year again? 2018?
Yes, 2018. The term starts the previous year
Mm-hmm.
because the elections start the previous year, but you only have a little time then, and then you take over the the following year, which was 2018 mainly for us. Yeah.
Okay. When you were availing yourself for the SRC, were you already availing yourself for the presidency, or maybe it's something that had to be arranged with the entire SRC collective at a later stage?
Yeah. At the time, there was no clear structure and
Mm.
clear policy that we had at our disposal. So the elections were just electing 8 candidates
Mm.
for SRCs, and then we had to arrange it with ourselves. We had a discussion with the college management. There was a crisis for with the previous SRC and all that. So we didn't have a clear arrangement. So
Mm.
we had to sort it amongst ourselves with the help of the registrar, uh,
Okay.
Mrs. Trele. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Maybe if I may ask,
So
what inspired you to even run for the SRC? I'm asking because I know
yeah,
people are
yeah,
driven by a lot of things. In
yeah,
your
yeah.
case, what was it?
It all started when I arrived. I think I experienced a lot of challenges
Mm.
personally and as a group of first year students in an institution. We had
Mm.
just arrived, we had experienced challenges, and
Mm.
we were trying to face those challenges, and we felt like since we are the new students in the institution, our
Mm.
word is not so much heard.
Mm.
And so I think I did notice personally, I did notice there is a leadership responsibility gap in the
Mm.
institution, in the of course in the student component.
Mm.
There was also, in fact, even in the college management, because as you would know, that year the principal wasn't there.
Mm.
The college had no principal. There was an acting principal who had other responsibility in the other college, the sister
Yeah, yeah,
college.
yeah.
So I saw it and I noticed there was a vacancy of
Mm.
leadership responsibility, and I
Mm.
thought, why not? Let me avail
Mm.
myself. I had a belief that I had been trained in
Mm.
the previous years and in the previous organizations I've been involved
Mm.
with, and therefore I thought, let me avail myself for SRC leadership and take responsibility and see how we can fix things and how we can
Mm.
put structures into place to help the
Mm.
institution, to help whoever is in the system to have a good time.
Okay. So you basically
Yes,
saw a vacuum there, and you felt like
indeed,
there was a strong need for leadership, and you wanted to
indeed.
contribute to specific things, basically relating to leadership. And you're also saying
Yeah,
that you came in with a bit of confidence, having been involved in a number of leadership
that's right. Yeah.
positions. Briefly, what experience were you coming with coming to the SRC?
Yeah, I have been involved in organizations and also at church since
Mm.
I'm a church person, as
Mm.
it is known quite clearly in the
Mm.
at the college. Yeah, I had been in leadership at church. I think that was the first because I started at a very young age.
Mm.
At my church, it is. it is not so usual if you
mm,
are under 20 years to
mm,
assume leadership positions, either
mm,
for youth or for uh, for the church board or whatever leadership positions are there.
mm,
But it so happened that at church I developed in leading in the leadership structures, and I
mm,
had to lead a sub-regional at sub-regional level at the age of 20, and that was the
mm,
first record the church ever had, that a person
mm,
at the age of 20 would lead as a chairperson at sub-regional level.
mm,
So I think that that contributed to my training in leadership, and then also I was part of the leadership in the Christian organizations. As
mm.
you would know, I was once a student at the University of Forte, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
once part of the leadership there, the
Mm,
SCO leadership. Um, I think that contributed a lot in
mm,
terms of understanding what are things, what are structures, leadership structures that should be there in any institution or an organization that you are in, you're part of. And so with that kind of knowledge and experience,
mm,
you now would have a perception or an eye to see when there is a vacuum or a
mm.
space or a vacancy for a responsibility or a leader, a person of a leadership caliber. So you would
Okay.
see, and then you would want to because you would feel it as a person who is experienced. You would feel it that no, there is a need for
Mm.
leadership in this kind of institution or organization.
Okay. Awesome. And it's quite positive, Mr. Kumalo, to hear that your values, so to say, and your
Yes,
observation of the entire system were in a way the driving force behind you even availing yourself for that particular position. And it's quite interesting in this day and age whereby SRC positions are much more fancied in terms of what you gain out of them, in terms of status, in terms,
that
you're the SRC president, but it's more like
that's
we're
right.
not
That's
driven
right.
much by that. And you make a mention of
Yeah,
how first years are adjusting to the system and
yeah, yeah,
without much support, and you felt there needed to be something for them. And
yes,
I can testify on that one because one of your legacies at Cedara was that you came at a time where the issue of initiation was a norm. If you are a first day,
yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
bullied on your first day. There might be some nice fancy words for it, but it's bullying. When you are
Bullying.
coming,
Yeah,
you'll
that's
experience a
true.
bit of torture. And
Yeah,
just to welcome you. That was the culture at Sitara. I remember
yes,
even
yes,
engaging some people who were elders about it, and they would mention the word culture. It's a culture. It's nothing
yeah,
personal. We just welcoming you. And
yeah,
I know very well how much you responded as a structure on the issue of initiation. And I can say in confidence that since your term, there hasn't been those kind of issues. So it's more like there's been a significant contribution towards first years, even post
yes,
your term. Any comments on that?
yes. Yes, I do believe it made a change because
Mm,
I think although some people understood it as culture
mm,
and something that creates unity among students,
mm,
but the way I saw it and the way it happened and I experienced it, I noticed that since it's never out of consent from
mm,
the students who've just arrived,
mm,
it creates a lot of damage to the students who are arriving. And
mm,
I do not think at all there is evidence that there was ever unity caused by the
mm,
activity that was called initiation or culture. And
mm,
then after we had engaged on it, I believe there was a change of perception to the culture.
mm,
of course, it continued after us. We had to stop it in our year, but with the leadership that were our predecessors, they took it and they wanted to do it. Of course, being pushed by the old students and the pressure that was mounting for them, they had to allow it. But I think the perception had changed, had since changed after our engagement to it. It had changed because uh, now it was easy to say, if you want to be part of it, please do come with us. If you don't want to, you can just stay at your room. Whereas back then, you would be fetched from your room by force, and they had, they had some drinks, and so it would be really really bullying because there was no consent at all.
Okay, all right. All right, fast forward to your term, though. Those who might not be aware, where you studied and served as the SRC president is where I also work on Fridays to offer counseling. But I'm more passionate about student development programs more than the individual counseling. And as a result, we did work together with the SRC at the time, and we continue to do so. Our first contact, I believe, was in the training, SRC training, before you officially resumed office. And at the end of your term, I also did evaluations for the SRC. And and it's through those evaluations that we got an impression that the SRC of your year, of your term, has been by far the best SRC at Cedara. Hence, I invited you to engage with us so that we try and copy those good standards and in an effort to inspire others. But from those evaluations, I remember there was a 96% satisfaction rate from students, in terms of how they were rating the SRC, in terms of its effectiveness and so on. And there were questions posed around what really worked, in terms of what were the strengths of this leadership. And your name kept popping up, the president. So students were quite impressed with your with your leadership. And one thing that was very much interesting for me, which is still interesting, maybe you will help me understand it, is that you were highly rated by students and equally highly rated by staff and management. And often you don't get that balance, sometimes you impress the management by actually putting students under the bus, vice versa, or sometimes you impress students by being ridiculous to management. How did you maintain that balance?
I think it's understanding the laws of engagement in terms of when you coming to work with different groups of people, and your role is to put together these groups and get them to work in an amicable and in the right way. I think you need to have a perception and an attitude. You don't have to prejudice the other group before you even assume your role or your position. I think you need to have an open mind, and when you engage with a pure heart, without pre-positioning yourself with a certain group, and then you coming to work and you already have the stronger interests of the other group. I think you need to listen to both sides. And I think I took this perception from my strong interest to the judiciary, whereby a judge has to listen to in the opposed court cases. You have to listen to both sides, the prosecution side and the defense side, with an open mind, with a clean slate. Of course, it couldn't be as genuine as it is, but when it comes to the law, you must listen with a clean slate, and each side must each side has to convince you and then at the later stage you consider those things. I think that kind of thought, I took it from there. You must engage with the people in a right way, both groups in a right way, and you show them your heart, you show them how you feel about things, and you engage. Yeah, engagement, I think it's the most important thing. The laws of engagement you need to understand, and not pre-position yourself, because if you pre-position yourself, it's very clear to anyone, okay, you've already taken a side. I won't even worry about being honest with you. That's what the group will say. Won't even worry if the students say no, he has sold us to the management or to whoever, the staff members. Then the students will never be able to hear you again, and also on the other side, vice versa. So I think you need to approach both groups with an open mind and an open heart. Show your heart out to the people you engaging, so that they see that you are not pre-positioned and you're not driven by the strong interests of the other group. That, I believe, it will help you to have a neutral mind, a neutral heart, and then your responsibilities, I promise you, your responsibilities will work quite well.
Awesome. Okay. I well understood. I'm learning also here. Yeah. What I like about what you're saying is that you're trying to dispel the notion that when you are the SRC, you're just a passive messenger of student issues. You just take whatever it is and then you throw it there, and then whatever, because to be honest, you are at a time where the SRC is being made popular by making demands. Not much reasoning, not much listening. I know some people, when they hear this, they'll take offense. But as you make the example of a judiciary, saying, yes, we have interest, but let's also be in a position to hear the other side and reason with the other side, so that you maintain that balance. So it's not a case of students want this and then you run with this. Students want a 4-month vacation and then you just run with it because I'm representing students. But you also need to apply your mind on it. And I feel it's something that most student leaders are struggling with, to actually find their objective self, to find their informed self and intellectual self in this leadership, so that they're not just these passive messengers.
That's right.
All right. Overall, what do you think contributed to your success as the SRC? What was so special about that group that you to receive so much positive feedback? And it wasn't just about positive feedback. I'm sure you can sit here and tell us your achievements during that term, because there are a lot of things that are more of systematic changes that started with your term. So you have left quite a legacy there. And what do you think made it work for you guys?
I think, as I've said, it goes with perception and attitude. You, if ever you have an attitude that you've already positioned yourself without even getting to the system and seeing where the system is taking you, and then you apply the kind of knowledge you have, and also learning from the system. I think the attitude is the first thing. The attitude needs to be right whenever you engaging yourself or you putting yourself in a position of responsibility. And also that kind of attitude, it makes you to have an open mind and heart to learn from others. That is, you're not working independently, as much as you're having a responsibility to be sorry, it might not be a right word, but to be on top of others in terms of responsibility, to be at the top. And then you feel like, since you are in that leadership position, you are the respected figure, and then you can't be consulting to other people. I think, as you would know, at college the SRC was just the SRC there, and then they were engaging the masses of students from the masses straight as a communication line to the college management. But I felt in my heart that we need to develop structures that will not put the SRC at the top and to such an extent that they are to adopt the system that we have in our country, which is the executive will have the legislature that will hold them accountable on what they do and the decisions they take. And we took that kind of structure and we developed a structure which we call the council, which will represent the organizations and the different sports and the whatever structures that are within the college. That will have meetings. I think it were monthly meetings with the SRC, so as to keep the SRC accountable, and also, for the SRC to consult and say, what would you, we're facing this kind of problem, what would you as students, representatives, of course, representatives of different organizations and sports, what would you suggest that we do in terms of tackling this kind of problem? I think with consultation and the open mind to learn from others, even though you feel like you at an upper position from them, that open mind to learn, you open to learn, you have opened your heart to learn from others and to take suggestions from others. I think it helps to push you towards the right direction. You're not using your own wisdom and knowledge all the time, because you are human. You can have errors, you can have mistakes, and therefore to rectify those mistakes, and people will say, no, you all alone because you decided to do that, because you never consulted and you never asked for advice from anyone. So I believe that it helps a lot. And as you would know, you were part the responsibility that you have at the college, and also being around other people, even the staff members who had the leadership qualities they have. So we would consult with everyone around the college, everyone who was open to talk to the SRC and say, why don't you do things like this? Because we had an option of saying, no, we can't be engaged by any person. We are the SRC. It's us who are leading the college. We have the right to make decisions for students, and also how to tackle the problems we're having with the staff or the management or whoever we are dealing with. We had that right, but we didn't use it because it wouldn't push us to the success that we have attained over the leadership term that we have.
Okay, so would you say extending your leadership was one of the keys to your success? If one was to look at the council, because there was no council at the time you arrived. So basically you're saying if you are involved in soccer, for example, soccer needs to be managed also. And those people who are managing that soccer needs to be part of a substructure of the SRC. So that when we talk sports issues, we talk it from the experience of people who are on the ground, and there was a consultation process. So it's more like leadership extended, so you are in charge, but you are just extending it to people. Would you say that was one of your key successes?
Indeed, I believe so. And I believe the students enjoyed it. I wouldn't forget the joy that was there. Whenever we're saying we're calling a council meeting, when you put the poster out there, the joy that was there for the people who were part of the council, because I believe at some point, a person, it's part of a person to enjoy it when you are given responsibility to do something at any stage in life. If you are given a position and a responsibility to do something and you are recognized, I think that they love it. And I wouldn't forget the joy that was there whenever we were calling that meeting, because they believed and they knew that their inputs would be taken to consideration by the SRC, and they are meeting that they are meeting the SRC. It was a joy for them, I believe so, and I believe it helped a lot because they were free to say their concerns. It wasn't that hard, It's hard to see an SRC member in the corridors and say, "Hey, listen, at volley there, the volleyball team is having problems with this and that." Then the SRC member is just passing by the corridor. They, no, 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 we'll look at it. It's fine, and then that's it. That is not a formal engagement, and therefore you can't even follow up that because you saw the person in the corridor. But if there's a structure, a thorough structure, not in the mass meeting, but a thorough structure where you raise your concerns and then they are minuted down so they can be revisited anytime and they can be followed up anytime. So I think, yeah, that was one of our successes, our pushes to our success.
Okay, awesome. And I think it also assists the leadership in a sense that these students feel like they're a part of this leadership. So it's not a case of being divorced as the SRC, because sometimes the SRC struggle with that, whereby they may have good intentions, but only to, it's more like soccer players being in the field all by themselves. Defense are not there to watch. They are just alienated in that way. But if students feel like this is our mission, this is our responsibility, I also have a hand in the running of this college. So it becomes easy for the SRC to be supported so that students are part of what you're planning for them and they support your what you are doing. And perhaps it's a culture that you need to encourage with the upcoming SRCs. Because quite often you'll hear SRCs complaining, we plan, but they don't come to attend these functions. But are they part of you guys? Do they feel connected to you? Or you just paraded somewhere up there where there are air conditions and they are down there, there is no link, basically?
Yes, that's true. That's right.
All right.
And I think to add to that, there are, at an institution, there are people who are not as vocal as they can, especially in a setting like a mass meeting where everybody is here and there's a lot of shouts and there's a lot of political statements that are made, by a certain group of people, and they will support that statement said. And then there's those people who are not that vocal and they can't raise their concerns there. So, for example, this person is a soccer player and he's not a vocal person. He doesn't speak, but he knows the problems that are there that need the attention of the SRC. So it was easy because the person who is leading soccer is the person who is talking to all the soccer players that are there. And then that person is part of the council, and that person can take all those concerns raised by those people who can't talk for themselves in the mass meeting, and they will bring it to the council meeting, and then it is in a long run raised to the SRC and it is attended to.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody can do what you did? That being a student leader, are there specific qualities in your opinion? Is it a game for everyone? Because I feel it's easy for people to raise their hands and say, I want to lead. Is it something for everyone, or there are specific qualities in your view that you feel need to be there?
Yeah, I do believe that we were not better than anybody else assuming a leadership position. But at the same time, I do not believe that if we don't have the same attitude, we can do the same achievements. We can have all the same achievements, because if ever you can have the same attitude we had, the same perception of what is leadership that we had, you can do it. I believe so. Leadership expects a lot of things. you need to have a lot of qualities. Qualities like you need to sacrifice yourself, not be a selfish somebody. Sacrifice yourself, because now you are at the forefront of a number of people who are looking at you, who are looking up. Some are looking up to you. Some need to, when they look at you, they must see someone who is their leader, and someone who is a strong person that I can relate my problems with. Not only now the problems that involve student problems. Someone can come to you seeing you as a leader and someone who's always in the front and someone who's always strong, and they see someone who they can just tell their heart, tell their family problems, tell whatever that's bothering them, their academic problems, what they're going through. So you need to be that kind of person. Sacrifice yourself. Don't be a person who says, no, 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 I'm the SRC president. You can't reach me because I'm always busy. I'm busy dealing with issues of students. So you unreachable. I think that kind of attitude of a person who is unreachable, a person who's always at the top, the kind of attitude you put up position more than responsibility. I think that's the biggest problem and the biggest downfall of a great leader who has all the qualities. But if they put position on top of responsibility, then you're not doing the leadership.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
If you were to scrutinize and just give a diagnosis of the SRCs, generally speaking, across the country, we are extending it beyond Cedara. If you observe just from a distance, what sort of concerns would you raise with the current trends in student leadership? What sort of things would you say, that aspect to me seems to be a concern at this point?
Yeah, I do believe at some point I think some of my views may not be of interest to other people. But I strongly believe that sometimes our political organization deprive us the good quality leaders, because I believe a political organization is there to engulf everyone, put them in, the good and the bad, and then the good leaders who have views that can help the nation or can help whatever institution they are leading. But because of the views of the other, or the mass views, the views of maybe
the collective.
The collective, there's no independency whatsoever. You have to, even if you don't agree with some of the points which are very critical for leadership, but you don't agree with them, but the collective is saying no, we're taking this direction, and then the nation or the institution is deprived of those great views from that leader who is part of the political organization. So I don't know. I do think we are being deprived by the political organizations of those things. And also, as I've just alluded, that it seems that we having um, a hunger for positions and the popularity more than the responsibility. You want to assume a leadership position because you want to have that kind of reputation, and not putting in mind as a priority that these are the responsibilities I have to do. This is what I have to execute. These are the mandates I have to execute once I assume that kind of leadership position. So that's one problem. So we elect our leaders just to put them on positions. I usually hear when there's campaigns, in our language, I say no, we're putting him there. And it's about position. It's about position more than responsibility. And then this person in his mind is full of position. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna get all the benefits that come with the position, and they forget the responsibility that they are there for. Why are you put there? That is why now we're having leaders who are, they never do any satisfactory job, because responsibility comes after they've assumed position. They start now to think, oh, I should have done that and that and that. And then the people are not happy. They take him down. We're putting the other one up. And that other one also is having that mentality of, I'm taking that position. I'm going to reap from those benefits. And there's no responsibility. So responsibility is key. And then I also believe that raising issues and dealing with issues that the leaders are dealing with every day. It's very important to understand that um, you're not raising issues. When you're engaging with reasons. The reason why I'm taking this position in this kind of engagement, these are my reasons. And you must understand that whenever you are in engaging on something, you the laws of engagement, the one may have strong effects than yours, and you must accept defeat if your reasons are not carrying much weight than the other one. Try to consider, use your mind. Don't use the push of the masses. Say, no, 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 now that we are defeated in the argument, let's take it and make it violent. No, that's not it. I think violence might come if ever you believe you having reasons for a certain position that you are taking in an argument that are not considered. They are not being considered or what. But not to say you don't want to accept defeat and then let's take it to violence. I think that's the problem some institutions of higher learning are facing, that uh, students would come up with issues or whatever points they are raising and the positions they take on certain matters. And whenever they engage and get into discussions, they are defeated because the rationale behind was not to solve the actual problem, but just to make a motion. There must be a motion that we are making. It's too silent in this institution. Why is it too silent? Why are we not like other institutions? There must be a movement. Now they start to make all those movements. I think that's irrational.
Yeah, yeah.
That's irrational. There must always be a rationale. There must be real issues that are being discussed, and there must be no evidence that these issues have been discussed, and this is how this is the response we're getting from the management. They are refusing to listen to us or whatever. Not to say no, they don't want to give us because they are putting these reasons, and you can hear these reasons. They are valid reasons, but because you want it, you still want to push, even though you see it's not reasonable to do so. And then they cause more problems from the problems the institution is already facing by vandalism, looting, destroying the structures of the institution, which I think now it's beyond now rationality. I think rationality should push whatever kind of leadership, especially in student leadership. Don't be pushed by the masses. The masses can, within the masses, there can be a strong group that is there to sabotage your leadership as a leader. So they raise issues as if it's raised by all students, and then they would recruit some of the students who are enjoying. Because I think now the problem is with the strikes and the vandalisms and all, there's a there's a there's a sense of enjoyment from other students. Other students, they would enjoy being part of the strikes all year. They would enjoy that just to destroy and to break things. And now those kind of students who have those motions behind, I think those kind of students now will sabotage the leadership that seeks to do things in the right way and to approach problems the right way. They would want to sabotage that leadership and push. So if you are a leadership that is pushed sideways, whatever motion that is being raised, you are for it. You are for it. then it would be easy for you to not lead successfully and efficiently. So for efficient leadership, I believe you have to listen to what the people you are leading are saying, and you must also take them through your own mind and wisdom.
mm,
Is this rational?
mm.
Is there any reason behind? I believe that those are the concerns that the institutions are facing now.
Wow, that's a mouthful, eh?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
uh,
Ah, yeah. No.
I,
I'm thinking as we are talking, the first
yeah,
point around political organizations and picking up a particular individual and actually pushing for that individual to be in positions
yeah,
and to basically represent the party with the hope that they'll end up representing the entire student population, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and I do agree, man. I also feel it extends beyond student leadership because now that
yeah,
you are representing students, it's not clear as to where do you take your mandate from, you know? I mean,
yeah,
who are you serving really? Are you serving the people that pushed you all the way to the top? Are you
yeah,
first responsible towards them and then students are
yeah,
secondary or the other way around? Because even in townships, you know, if Mr. Kumalo right here wants to be a councillor, if I'm mobilizing, going everywhere, going to every family, most often than not, as soon as you are in that position, you feel responsible towards me because of being push a comrade, so to say.
yeah.
Uh,
Indeed, indeed.
so the
Yeah,
community comes second.
that's
It's
the
the
problem.
same thing with
Yeah, yeah,
in student leadership, even in government, you know, up there in the
yeah.
highest office.
Indeed,
Recently,
indeed.
uh,
Yeah,
there was once a big debate around the utterances of the president. Um, um, I'm not quoting him, but um, I'm paraphrasing, but he was basically saying he's very committed to the unity of the party. So if he's working
mm,
towards that and he comes across as a not so good enough president of the state, then let it be,
yeah,
so long as the unity of the party, because that to
yeah,
me
yeah,
raises questions
mm,
as to who are you really
yeah,
responsible to? I mean, are
yeah,
you responsible towards the party? Are you responsible towards the entire citizens? And I
yeah,
think this political game in electing leadership, it's quite a problem. More so in tertiary institutions, considering that the uptake of I mean, the level of participation in electing student leaders is
yeah,
very is very low. You know, at some point I heard that at UKZN only 8% of the student population vote. So if we
mm,
are relying on a party to
yeah,
pick up a particular somebody, we don't have any voice on that particular somebody. It might be a
indeed.
recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
And I'll say you were fortunate at Cedara because it was a case of individual students raising their hands, putting their
yeah,
um, uh, values on the table and their plans, and leaving students to actually choose for themselves. Okay, that one is not necessarily of a party mobilizing, picking up a
yeah,
famous individual and
yeah,
say, there's the guy, you know. The second part
yeah, yeah,
also, I liked it so much because it goes back to what you were saying earlier, that
mm,
you need to find yourself, you know, you need to reason so that your actions that you are taking as a structure um,
yes,
are validated logically. You know, you can back them up. You can say we need to
yeah,
do this because of ABC. So you can reason them out. You need to be rational about it.
yeah,
I like that because in my view, and people may attack me for this, but my view is that the leadership of most SRCs these days is highly emotional. You know, some
yeah,
people are not
yeah,
even aware of the policies that run the institutions they are leading. They are
Indeed.
very
Indeed.
emotional about things.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
you push
Yeah.
them to reason,
Mm.
it's more like you're reinforcing that kind of ignorance. They'll come on you very hard, and
Yeah.
they will attack,
Yeah.
they will double their attack. There is no point where they pause and check their facts and say, okay, what am I really dealing with here? So I feel student leadership at times, it can be quite an emotional process where there is little reasoning involved, As in, no, we
Indeed.
demand, this needs to be, as you say, there is room for
Yes.
demands. If you feel like
Indeed.
you have reasoned out things out, but still people are just being ignorant, then there might be room for demands. Um, but it shouldn't be the first point of engagement. Do you have any comments on that?
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very critical. You know, when it comes to the policies of the
Mm,
institution, I think
mm,
if you are a leader, you need that's the very first thing you need to, even
mm,
before you assume the leadership position, you
mm,
must be very clear of those policies and
mm,
that govern the institution. It's very important
mm,
because at some point, sometimes students will just raise, as you've said, emotionally. They'll
mm,
just raise issues and say, "This is how we're supposed to be dealing with them. This is
mm,
how they should be, responding to us." And when we find it in the policies, it's not there. That's
mm,
not how it should go. And
mm,
now, uh, they don't take. If you are ignorant, you don't know the policies, then you can't
mm,
do anything.
mm,
Even your line of thinking
mm,
cannot be as correct as it
mm,
should be. Therefore, you would always find it that you disagree with the
mm,
person who you're engaging with, who knows the policies and you don't
mm,
know them. And actually, it's not a disagreement. It's
mm.
one ignorant and one knowledgeable of the policies.
Awesome. All right. We're drawing to the end.
Okay.
The issue of ethics in student leadership, I know one of um, the people you admire a lot in, currently, the
Yeah.
Honorable Judge
Yeah.
Mogoeng Mogoeng.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. So that hasn't changed, eh?
No, no, no. It hasn't changed. I don't think it would. I even supported him. When when they wanted to attack him for the remarks he had made.
Mm,
I was in support because I thought his views, his personal views, are also important, even though he's assuming that kind of position as a
mm,
judge. And I was
mm,
asking myself, are these people ready to take on a judge? Because this
mm,
person has been arguing ever since he
mm,
started his profession. Are you
mm.
ready to take on a judge? Are you will you know will you stand it?
Mm. I
Yeah.
remember one of his remarks on ethical leadership where he was observing that we seem to have a crisis of ethical leadership in South Africa. So
Yeah.
otherwise we wouldn't have such high rates of corruption, so corruption is such a norm, and
Indeed.
a lot of
Indeed.
things are just not right in leadership. But it's not just an issue of government, even at the student level, the issue of ethics
Yeah.
is quite a difficult one. And
Yeah.
I feel it should be much more challenging when you're a student leader, you're young and, you're still growing, you're still making mistakes, which is okay, But how
Yeah.
important is it for anybody who avails themselves for leadership positions that they are not caught in these acts such as sexual harassment, corruption, all of those things that actually uh, question the principles of the person. And I'm asking you this because you served at Cedara with your leadership, I must say. And not once have I had a session with a student who felt victimized by the SRC group. and felt that the power was actually people were abusing their powers in actually bullying them or whatever the case is. So,
Yes.
number one, how important is ethics in student leadership, and
Yeah.
and how can you try and actually guide yourself as a student leader so that you are not really caught up in these things that will actually question your character and
Yeah.
your principles.
Yeah. Um, you know, I believe from our our raising at our homes,
Mm,
you would be told, if you start to get naughty, you go to the kitchen, you
mm,
rush to the tub where there's sugar, and you
mm,
try to steal that sugar. The
mm,
parents will not only say, "Don't steal sugar," but
mm,
the words that would follow there. If you want to start, my child, if you want to start stealing at this age,
mm,
and this will be a norm, it will be
mm,
part of you.
mm,
You are a thief. You will never stop.
mm,
That's what the parents would tell you. You'll never
mm,
stop. So don't even start it. It's a bad habit. You
mm,
know, I believe it starts there.
mm,
And then coming up, I believe then ethical leadership is is from the early stages of your leadership. You need to
mm,
understand what you are leading for. And
mm,
also, you need to have your before you have a group code of ethics, you need to
mm,
have your own code of
mm,
ethics. This is what I do not do, and it's
mm,
part of me. I don't do this and that and that, and I
mm,
would never change. You don't get convinced when it comes to ethics.
mm,
Um, we know people are people. They are human. They have their mistakes. But
mm,
once you engage in an act that is unethical,
mm,
it gets to you, and it gets to be part of yourself. Your
mm,
thinking, it affects your thoughts. It gets to be part of you. Your
mm,
thinking is it always in line with that
mm,
kind of habit that you've taught yourself to do. So I believe you must have your own code of ethics. And then
mm,
when you get into a leadership structure, you should have a group code of ethics, that this is what we are doing, and this is
mm,
how we deal with. So if
mm,
anyone breaks the code of ethics, our code of ethics, we all agree, this is what we're doing. This is the kind of leadership we want to give.
mm,
So I believe that it does also helps. um, I do not believe, if you'd ever have a good leader,
mm,
if you take somebody have done something unethical in the past, and then now, of course, there is always room to say somebody will change and be a good person. But if
mm,
now these things keeps hanging on this kind of leader that is a
mm,
potential leader, and then we still elect that person and still put them in
mm,
the leadership position, we will always have problem. So I
mm,
do believe that every kind of institution, from at home, in our families, to at school, to the institutions of higher learning, all these places should be academies to
mm,
train people to be ethical leaders, an ethical person even before you assume a leadership position. Because I
mm,
believe, before even you even assume responsibility of leadership, you should be a leader, because you lead
mm,
yourself first. You
mm,
lead yourself, you lead your mind, you control what your mind should do. You take
mm,
decisions for yourself. So you must
mm,
be a leader, and an ethical leader, honest to yourself before you are honest to other people,
mm,
before you are honest, as a person of responsibility, of leadership responsibility. So I believe those are the kind of
mm,
ethics and the kind of understanding we need to have. We need to have those places and those institutions as academies for ethical leadership. And I believe then, with this,
mm,
if we can have that, and we can master those little academies at home, at school, institutions of higher learning, and organizations that are out there. We can defeat this leadership crisis that we're having, especially in our country.
Okay, lovely. I like how you presenting it. So you start by working on the person in the mirror. Be very clear about that person. Be very honest about that person. And then when you are in a structure, have group structures focused on actually dealing with such issues. Okay, awesome. My second last one. You were one of the students on a blue status academically. So we have students who are really struggling at school and who have the red color, underperforming, those who are struggling but not so bad, who are considered to be at risk, and those who are doing fairly well, who are on green, and those rare diamonds like yourself who were once at some point assigned the blue color, outstanding result. And that was something very remarkable for me, given your work ethic in leadership. You were a very busy president, but the very busy president was still very much academically competent. Over the years, I've had a lot of concerns from the academic staff about certain people raising their hands like, but how is he going to survive? We know that one is really struggling academically, and because the trend is once you are involved in student leadership, for some reason your marks drop. And you were very committed to your leadership. I also remember quite a lot of people who were part of that SRC, Abo Zulu, and the rest of the guys. You were doing so well academically. How did you achieve that?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to understanding that the reason why you're here and you've been accepted here, that's the first reason. You know, that goes also to my colleagues, and I believe it also helped us, that kind of attitude, to our, the Christian organization, because I think there's also an issue with the Christian organization, especially around the institution, whereby they get committed a lot on the religious side, and then kind of forget why are you here, and what are the policies of the institution. You need to also mind that there are things like academic exclusion and all those things. So you are not here.
Just to jump in there, I'm happy you've mentioned that as an example, because somehow, even as a counselor, I feel sometimes I'm just being demonic for actually pointing it out and saying, hey, some people are too spiritually elevated but academically struggling, and
Indeed.
Sometimes you feel it's uneasy to actually talk about that, because these are spiritual matters, sikhuluma into umfake emhlabeni manje ungaleko komoya. And I'm glad that you are the one who's raising it.
Indeed, those are the issues, and I've had a privilege also in that year for about 2 years, being the chairperson of the Christian organization, and those we added it even in the constitution of the organization, that our values is hope, it's love, it's faith, and it's academic excellence, because we need to excel. We said no one, they can be excelled all around, but no one who is part of the Christian organization is going to be excelled, because we are here to excel, and we are here to be at the forefront, in terms of our academics. So I do believe you need to keep in mind that you are here for your academics. You haven't signed a permanent contract here. You are here for a set time, and
Mm.
here for a set time, and you must finish your degree, and
Mm.
you go further in life, and you need to understand if you are preaching here, you can't preach for all in some way. So you need to preach here for some working,
Mm.
not only at the institution of higher learning. So I believe in the leadership, it was busy, it was hectic. There was a lot of responsibility, especially putting some new structures in place, because you have
Mm.
to maintain and keep them up and
Mm.
going so that they be effective,
Mm.
to justify the reason why you erected them.
Mm.
So it was a responsibility, and one of our values, that we need to excel academically as well.
Mm.
And also, in the position that we are, we must, some of the students must look up to us. They need to look up to us, and they need to see people who are excelling academically. So if you are a
Mm.
leader and you are not doing so well, believe me, it's going to be hard. It will take hard workers for everyone whom you are leading to
Mm.
succeed if you are not succeeding as a leader.
Mm.
But if you are succeeding as a leader, I believe you are creating an environment of success for
Mm.
everyone that you are leading. So
Mm.
those were part of our values, and
Mm.
with the other guys that we were with in our leadership, and we made sure we must hit that to the head. We must
Mm.
understand we need to work hard, and we need to excel. So more from our responsibilities was to help others instead, more than
Mm.
being selfish in our academic excellence. Help others,
Mm.
put up structures that will help others who are struggling academically,
Mm.
pull them up to a level so that they achieve what you are
Mm.
achieving as their leader.
Mm.
um and I think it all started with me, because first year when I just arrived, um I was nominated and elected to be the class representatives of the first year
Mm.
students. Um, and I believed then from the start that I cannot be a representative of the class and I'm
Mm.
not doing well in my academics. In
Yeah,
fact, I
yeah.
must be the first, I must
Mm.
be the first one to be called, when the test scripts are coming back. I must be
Mm.
the first one to say, no, 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 this is the highest, because he is the class representative. He is the leader of the class. He must
Mm.
lead also in what we are here for.
Mm.
So I needed to put that, and work hard, study hard. If ever there's anything you do not understand, engage the staff.
Mm.
Some lecturers would be, they would be astonished sometimes. Hey,
Mm.
I'm getting a message from Mr. Kumalo. What's wrong? Have I done anything wrong? Because that's the SRC president. And no, no, no.
Mm.
I just want you to explain to me some of the things. I would always be at them. And I think that
Mm.
helps a lot, create that environment where
Mm.
everyone can talk, you can have a communication, and also make it easy to
Mm.
an environment that it's easy for anyone to raise their concerns and their difficulties, especially their academics. So I think we also developed a very good relationship now, not
Mm.
only to us as SRC members, a very good relationship, academic relationship between the staff, the academic
Mm.
staff, and the students. It was now a little easy, and whenever we had started our tutorial classes, the lecturers were very much excited, because
Mm.
some had said that they see a difference in
Mm.
their in their marking, when they are
Mm.
marking, and their assessments they are giving to students, they see a difference. And because of that, most of our lecturers had supported it from day one.
Mm.
Yes.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
what I liked the most was the fact that as busy as you were as the SRC and as academically competent as you were and as academically ambitious as you were
Yes.
still very much available for students in assisting them on academic related matters. I'm saying this
Indeed.
because the tutoring project of 2018, your term,
Yes.
you were highly involved as the SRC in actually assisting other students who are academically struggling. So you were playing a very important role in helping everyone out to also do well academically, and that's quite impressive. Another thing that I wanted to make mention of is how you valued education as the structure so much that it's documented as part of your values that no, we have no choice. We need to excel academically. And I feel that's what's missing in most student leadership, because there is not much respect for education. Then it's easy to just mess up with education. You know, the times you find student leaders calling for protest at the time of exams, and sometimes you begin to wonder, is there any form of respect for education per se? You know, the timing of these strikes and whatever it is. Because if really a leader is that ambitious and is that he values education that much at a personal level, they wouldn't like to do anything that compromises their competence and academic excellence in the institution. But if you have no respect for it, then it's easy to do anyhow, you know, in a manner that doesn't seem to protect education. Well, in the interest of time, let me just conclude by asking this very last one. What was striking also for me around, I'm very observant, Mr. Kumalo, so I observe it. I observe a lot.
Noted that. Yeah.
Yeah. You were very much open to learning, you know. I don't think I've ever had a student leader who's that interested in life skills, who's that interested in actually attending workshops. And so you had a huge appetite for learning, you know. So if there is a workshop on something, you are there, and you were very much you were participating a lot, you know. Your views will be heard, you'll ask questions, you would engage, you know. The training, you were there and you were engaging a lot, but also in the weekly life skills classes, which are more focused on student development, you were very much active there. You were one of the students who were attending those classes a lot, you know. And I'm just curious to know from your side, how important is training, psychosocial training, when you are a student leader? Why was it important for you to even be there?
Yeah, you know, I do believe that some of the things that help you to you know, to keep your sanity and to open up your mind is those kinds of discussions, you know, about the issues that are around. How do you deal with them, especially from a professional view, a psychological view? I believe it helps the student to open your mind and also to keep you know, balanced in terms of understanding what are the challenges that are there. You know, I never thought that preparing for an exam, you would need someone to tell you of the key important points in a point form. It's that, you know, when you're preparing for an exam, generally, you know, the mind, a human's mind is structured this way, and therefore you have to give your mind this and that and that. I never thought that kind, because sometimes, you know, we as a students, we usually think we are smarter than you know, those little discussions, of no, I can't go there because he's telling us how to start. We know how to start, you know. I know how to set my time, and I will study for that. But I do believe those little talks,
mm,
they do something in your mind. They do
mm,
something. You may not notice it. You may not notice it at the
mm,
time, when you're having the discussions, because at some points you feel like you're discussing the obvious points.
mm,
But in the long run, and as you study and as you see the results, you'll see, no, there's a change. Actually,
mm,
there's something that you've gained from the kinds of discussions that you've had.
mm,
I do believe that, and the importance of those things. They might seem petty and
mm,
small, but I do strongly believe they help each and
mm,
every student. I don't remember of any student who has had academic problems, exclusion, who have
mm,
been attending those classes.
mm,
Even if you think you're smarter than the points that are being discussed there, just go
mm,
and you'll see a difference
mm,
in a long run. You may not
mm,
see it the same time, but
mm,
you develop as you attend the kinds of discussions. And I do believe, if you sit
mm,
alone and think, have conversations with yourself all the time,
mm,
you will never grow to some
mm,
extent. There are
mm,
some extents where you need to hear the views of other people
mm,
about life issues, the social lives of other people, and then you consider, and then you
mm,
learn. Oh, this is how other people think, and this is how I think, and then
mm,
your mind will automatically try to adjust and
mm,
grow in terms of knowledge and understanding of things that are happening around you. So I strongly believed in it. I believed it's not a waste of time.
mm,
I believed it's there to develop students in
mm,
a good way, uh,
mm,
in a way that will keep your mind busy and
mm,
developing in terms of thinking and understanding the kind of environment you're in, and how to adjust yourself into it, and how to deal and cope with, there are many things that were there. How to deal
mm,
and cope with stress. You never invite stress
mm,
as a student. You never
mm,
invite it, but it sometimes comes. There are those
mm,
moments when you
mm.
feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed by the amount of the load of work that is there. But I do believe then that from those things, you are given tips on how to cope with stress and all those things. Those things are important. You might not need them at the time when they are presented, but in
Mm.
the long run, your mind will keep them and record them, and will, use them at the time of need.
Awesome, man. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much. I like how informed you are. You just awubanga umsindo nje. You engage with reason, and that's why
Thank
that's
you.
why that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like there's always an opportunity to learn every time we're in conversations, and uh, and thank you for
yeah,
leaving a great mark at Cedara, and I'm telling you, as a member of staff, and as a
yeah,
person who was
yeah,
um, very close to your leadership at the time,
yeah,
it's an experience that you need to be really proud of. In the
yeah,
words of Mzwakhe Mbuli, at times when
yeah,
you throw a stone onto the river, it creates waves. I think it's
yes,
that situation with you also, that you 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 came at Cedara in 2018, and your presence was felt. Waves were
yeah,
created
yeah,
there, and
yeah,
you left a legacy. It would be difficult for any student who knows you at the time of your leadership to forget Sandise Kumalo, because you were
yeah,
there to make an impact, and not just for yourself, but for students, and not just for students also, and for the institution. As you say, as we talk today, there are systems, there are changes in the system that were implemented by your leadership. Of course, I do pay tribute to the entire leadership collective, which
yes.
which 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 you were working with. I'm just relating it to you as the head of that structure. Do you have any closing words?
Yeah, I think from what you've just said at first, I must say, I am so grateful to everyone that I had worked with it in Cedara, both the students and the staff. We always had a great time. You know, I usually chat to on WhatsApp with the college principal, Ben
mm,
Lupe. He was a great man
mm,
working with. Yes, of course, there were challenges, you know,
mm,
with his tenure, and when we had arrived, there were challenges, and I believe that when it had come back, he had the same heart that we had,
mm,
because it just came together. His
mm,
return to the college
mm,
and our assumption to position, you know, it just came at the same time, and we
mm,
had the same heart of developing the college and
mm,
bringing up the college and developing good structures,
mm,
no, that to bring the college to its former glory,
mm,
and even more,
mm,
because we are the college is giving out developing and giving out agriculture students, future
mm,
farmers,
mm,
who who are of great significance in the country and the world. Producing institutions are there to
mm,
to build those kinds of characters. This industry, farming industry, is not a small industry. It's a very huge industry. It requires people who are developed, who have a character, because
mm,
we have a crop of farmers who have just come, have any good character. All what drives them in producing food is
mm,
profit and
mm,
nothing else. There's no ethics attached, there's no
mm,
understanding, there's no consideration of people.
mm,
As long as they get profit, it doesn't
mm,
matter how poisonous the food they are producing can be,
mm,
as long
mm,
they will get profit from that. And
mm,
that's not the culture in farming. That's not the actual culture. There's ethics in
mm,
farming. There's understanding, there's consideration, there's love for your
mm,
nation, because there's a lot of hard work in farms all
mm,
around. There's a lot of hard work, and for you to have that big heart to take it on, with all the challenges, the climatic challenges changing, um, and there's no proper subsidies from government. The farmers are struggling, but
mm,
they have big hearts to say, I continue to produce food for my nation and
mm,
for the world. It
mm,
takes a big heart, and it takes
mm,
a lot of emotional and
mm,
intellectual training to take it in, to take all those blows and still produce for your nation. So
mm,
it all comes. The colleges are significant to do that, and
mm,
I do believe that these colleges all around the country, I think about there are about 11 agricultural colleges
mm,
now. All of them, they need good leadership from
mm,
both the student component and
mm,
the college management, the government employees. It
mm,
needs great leadership, people who are willing to
mm,
develop such kind of farmers that we will
mm,
have for our future. So I want to thank everyone, and I said from the depth of my heart, I do miss the place. Cedara
mm,
College was a good place and a good environment. You would
mm,
engage with people, and they were just family. The staff, the students, we were family. We were one family, and we enjoyed our time together. And I want to say it, and to you, Mr. Zuma, you played a very significant role, um, developing students, and you still playing it. I see
mm,
your developments at the college. I always see you saying it's Fridays and it's Sidara days. You know,
mm,
yeah, it means a lot. I mean,
mm,
it's very much significant for
mm,
the college that you are there, because you're dealing with a side or a component that is very important, that if you were not there, the college would feel the lack of that component that you
mm,
are doing in the college. So I say it from my heart, the college is having quality people who are doing their jobs quite well. And I hope for the best for the college and everyone associated with the college. Thank you.
Much appreciated, man. The way you talk, you can easily be a future principal of the very same college, it seems. You talk with so much passion.
Yeah, yeah. I like what you envisage.
Okay, man. I guess we'll have to leave it here.
Okay, yeah.
And, I'm very confident that this is
Yes.
not the last time we engage. Like I told you, I would love for this to be a resource to the entire student leadership population, because I feel like they can be valuable lessons from just this conversation. Thank you so much, Ba.